It was a dark and stormy night as I drove home from work. The rain poured down relentlessly, making it difficult to see the road ahead. To make matters worse, my petrol meter was dangerously low, and I knew I had to find a petrol station soon. As I scanned the area for any signs of a petrol station, my heart sank when I realized that I was in the middle of nowhere. There were no streetlights, no signs, and no other cars in sight. Panic started to set in as I desperately searched for any glimmer of hope. Finally, a faint glow caught my eye in the distance. It was a petrol station, or at least what appeared to be one. As I pulled up, I noticed that the entire place was empty and eerily dark. The only light came from the flickering fluorescent bulbs inside the small building. Reluctantly, I stepped out of my car and made my way towards the building. The sound of rain hitting the pavement echoed in my ears, intensifying the feeling of isolation. I pushed open the creaky door and entered the dimly lit room. To my surprise, there was no one inside. The shelves were empty, and the cash register was left open and abandoned. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that something was terribly wrong. I debated whether to leave immediately or try to find someone who could help me. Curiosity got the better of me, and against my better judgment, I decided to explore further. I cautiously made my way towards the back of the building, my heart pounding in my chest. As I turned the corner, I froze in terror. A figure emerged from the shadows wearing a dark hoodie that concealed their face. In their hand, they held a gleaming gun, its barrel pointed directly at me. Fear gripped me as I realized that I had stumbled upon a dangerous situation. The hoodie man demanded my car keys and money, his voice filled with malice. I fumbled in my pockets, desperately trying to comply with his demands. Just as I handed over my belongings, the sound of sirens pierced the air. Relief washed over me as I saw the flashing lights of a police car approaching. The hoodie man's eyes widened in panic, and he quickly retreated into the darkness. The police officers jumped out of their car and chased after him, disappearing into the night. I stood there, trembling as the adrenaline slowly subsided. The police returned a few minutes later, their faces filled with frustration. They explained that the hoodie man had managed to escape, leaving no trace behind. As the officers investigated further, they discovered the staff members of the petrol station tied up in the back. They had been taken hostage by the hoodie man, who had been using the abandoned petrol station as a hideout. The horror of that night stayed with me for a long time. The thought of what could have happened if the police hadn't arrived in time haunted my dreams. I couldn't help but wonder about the fate of the hoodie man and if he would ever be brought to justice. From that day forward, I never took my safety for granted. I learned to trust my instincts and to be more cautious, especially when finding myself in unfamiliar situations. The horror story I experienced that night served as a reminder that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places.